the truth. You can't handle the truth. Truth.
And now, live from the Star Worldwide Studios Tower, overlooking the fifth largest city in America and heard worldwide, it's the Josh Bernstein Show. Liberal hypocrisy and leftist lunacy exposed and dismantled with intellect and facts. And now, here's your unapologetic host, Josh Bernstein.
Welcome to another hard-hitting edition of the Josh Bernstein Show. We got a lot to cover this week, a ton. We're going to talk about the Oregon situation. We're going to talk about Donald Trump. We're going to talk about Planned Parenthood. And then a little bit later on in the program, we're going to be joined by Admiral Ace Lyons. This is a very decorated Navy admiral and just an amazing patriot. So we're going to talk to him about Benghazi. We're going to talk to him about the morale of the military. We're going to talk to him about the Obama administration in general and things that are moving forward on a geopolitical scale. Now, this show is going to be a little different because I was really going to talk about Facebook. And I call it Fedbook, and what they've been doing, censoring conservatives like myself and others, it's just gotten out of control. But sometimes current events dictate you changing what you're going to talk about. So in this case, we are going to talk more about the Oregon situation and some other situations. Now, I'm going to say things on this show that a lot of people are going to more than likely maybe even disagree with. I'm not here to make everyone agree with me. I'm here to be an objective member of the media, report to you, and call it as I see it. And I think that because of that genuine approach, people enjoy the show, and that's why you continue to watch the show, share the show, and that's why it has grown in leaps and bounds. With that being said, let's get into the Oregon situation. There's been a major update in the Oregon situation. We know now that one person has died. We're going to get to him in a minute. We know that the Ammon Bundy has been arrested along with a few others. Ryan Bundy, who was shot in the arm but has recovered. He's doing okay. Ryan Payne has been arrested. Brian Cavalier has been arrested. Shauna Cox has been arrested. John Ritzheimer has surrendered to police. And Pete Santilli, the investigative journalist that was embedded with the militia in Oregon, has also been arrested as well. Now, basically what happened here is there was a situation on Interstate 395. I'm going to do notes. I know I normally never use notes, folks, but there's a lot of moving parts here, so I am going to give you concrete information and use the notes. Apparently, they were in a vehicle. They were on the way to a John Day Senior Center to give a keynote speech when the FBI stopped them on the road. Also, by the way, Joseph O'Shaughnessy was arrested, I think, for a separate incident on a DUI or something. But anyway, so they were arrested on the road. Now, here's where things get a little bit murky. They were stopped and they were arrested. Apparently, the FBI put up roadblocks within a 40-mile area of this road, 395, which is about 20 miles north of Burns, Oregon. They were heading to do a speech. Now, what's interesting is earlier in the day, there was a video put out by, I believe, Santilli or someone out there that showed Ammon Bundy talking on his cell phone to a FBI negotiator with the name of Chris. And they were talking for it was about an 8 or 9 minute video. So that was interesting that happened earlier today or yesterday, as a matter of fact. We are at Wednesday now. And this has now all taken place. Now, let's take a look back at what happened. Now, I'm not going to go through the BLM and the Fish and Wildlife Service. I've already done that on past shows. I've proven and shown where the Hammonds are not guilty and the Fish and Wildlife Service and the Bureau of Land Management are thugs and they are guilty of harassing these ranchers. That's a show for another day. I want to stick to the details for time constraints. Now, the FBI and, again, the Oregon police stopped their vehicle on the road, and what I'm hearing is Nevada Assemblywoman Michelle Fiore said that Ammon Bundy, again, allegedly said that Ammon Bundy called his wife from inside the police car, in the back of the police car, his wife Lisa, and said that he saw the police shoot the gentleman, which is his name is Lavoy Finicum. And the report from Michelle that she got from Ammon Bundy stated that he was cooperating with police, that he had his hands up on his head, and that he was shot as many as 3 times. So again, Michelle Fiore, the Assemblywoman from Nevada, is reporting from Ammon Bundy's account that he told his wife, that I guess he told her, that this was a situation in which this was an execution. This was a murder, okay, for all intents and purposes. Now, the Oregonian paper is reporting that Ryan Bundy and Lavoy were resisting arrest, and that there was a struggle that ensued, there was a shootout, and that's why they used deadly force. I'm not saying that that's right or that's wrong. I'm not saying that the situation that we've heard from Assemblywoman Fiore is right or what's wrong. I'm just being objective, and I'm reporting both sides of what I have heard. I'm not taking sides on this, okay? Now, what is interesting is that last week, the left-wing governor, Kate Brown, pressured law enforcement and the FBI, but not just law enforcement and the FBI, also pressured the Attorney General Loretta Lynch and the Obama administration, making repeated pleas for local police and the FBI to, quote, do something, to address the inaction, if you will, with the militia members up there in Oregon. Now, you can literally say that what they were doing up there, I believe, was just. Okay? I also believe that they were truly not wanting to be violent, and I also believe that they were filing grievances against the government. They wanted the Hammonds released from prison, which I think absolutely should happen, because I've already done a past story proving that the Hammonds are innocent in this case. But moreover, they were doing things like getting the information from past ranchers. They were getting deeds. They were getting documented paperwork and things like that on the Fish and Wildlife Services and the Bureau of Land Management. They were basically, what was happening is they were building a case on behalf of the ranchers, also in the situation, to show and prove that it was the government in this case that were the aggressors. It was the government that were not the patriots here. It was the government that were the ones that were trampling on these ranchers' constitutional rights for years. Okay? The Bureau of Land Management and the Fish and Wildlife Services in Oregon and in America in general and around the western United States are guilty of these offenses. Okay? Now, that was what happened there. Now, the message, again, was followed through by Harney County Judge Steve Grasty, who then publicly urged the FBI that had set up shop in and around Burns, Oregon, and around the refuge, and local police to immediately take action. Now, me personally, I thought that if anything was going to happen, it may have happened Super Bowl Sunday. I figured maybe there'd be a bunch of folks in someone's house celebrating the game, maybe having a couple beers, having some pizza, whatever. Again, I don't know. And then, bam, the FBI was going to run in and do something. I would have thought that it would have happened like that. But I'm going to explain to you where I think this all went down and how this went down in a minute. But before I do that, what I've said earlier is that one person died and one person got shot and these other people were arrested. Okay? I don't want to discredit the life of Robert Lavoy Finicum, which, by the way, today would have been his 56th birthday. Okay? Robert Lavoy Finicum was killed again yesterday, one day before his 56th birthday. He was born January 27, 1960, died January 26, 2016. He was a loving husband. His wife, Jeanette, and him were the father of 11 children. He and his wife were foster parents to abandoned and at-risk children. This was a good guy. This is somebody who wouldn't hurt a soul. This is somebody who believed in the Constitution. He believed in fighting back against governmental tyranny. And for that, he was murdered, or he was killed in this situation. He was also an author. He wrote a book called Only by Blood and Suffering, Regaining Lost Freedom. Before I go into anything more on this, I want us all to say a prayer for his children, for the people that loved him, the people that cared for him, for his wife, and may he rest in peace. Amen. Now, moving on from there, I said that I was going to say some things that maybe not everybody was going to agree with. I believe, and again, I don't want to be the armchair quarterback here. I wasn't in Oregon or anything like that. I did have some contacts with a few people, but for the most part, I was not in the situation. However, I was seeing lots of different things that were coming out of the area. Lots of different videos. There was one video that said that there was a report that the FBI and the local police and the local hospital were stocking up on medical supplies and blood and things like that. Now, that was just last week. That would mean to me that they were planning on doing something, okay? Now, besides that, if you remember a couple of weeks ago, the people that have been paying attention to this, Pete Santilli put out a video, and he was all excited and happy about the fact that it was a once-in-a-lifetime thing where basically the militia members walked up onto the FBI and started talking to them. Literally, the FBI was set up. These guys walked up to them and started talking to them. I believe that it was that moment right then and there a few weeks ago that was a major, major mistake, and let me tell you why. When they rolled up to these FBI agents are trained. They are trained to go through the FBI Academy to learn body language. They are trained in recon. They were doing recon and reconnaissance while these militia members were talking to them. What were they doing? They were sizing them up. They were finding out what their threat level was. They were looking at head counts. How many people did they have in the refuge area? What kind of weapons were they holding? What kind of weapons did they have? What kind of equipment did they have? Did they have Kevlar? Did they have armor-resistant, bulletproof vests? What kind of intelligence could they gather? What does the perimeter look like? What is the threat level? What is their hostility level? What is their mental capacity? What is the leadership? Who's in charge? All of these different things were being done during that 35 to 40-minute conversation between the militia members and the FBI. And I put a post out on Facebook explaining that that was not a smart move by the militia members. Their intent here is excellent. Their intent is to fight back against government tyranny. Their intent is to protect these ranchers from the big, heavy hand of government. I commend them for them. God bless each and every one of them that went out there to stand up for the ranchers and stand up for their property rights. Absolutely. However, what I am saying is that how they went about it and the things that they did, I believe, led to the situation that we find right now. And by the way, this situation is still unfolding. I am hearing reports that there's more FBI agents on their way to Oregon, and who knows, I'm doing this Wednesday morning. By the time this show is done, we may have a completely different story, and hopefully we don't have any more bloodshed. But what I'm saying is there's a smart way to do things, and then there's a way of doing things where you're not taking precautions. Were they changing the batteries in their cell phones? Were they changing their cell phones? Did they stock up on a bunch of Walmart cell phones that were temporary track phones so that the FBI couldn't find out who they were? If they were going to meet with the FBI, don't you think it would have been better to meet with just one person, not a whole group of them? Because they could have been arrested in just a whole group. And maybe if one person went out to meet with the FBI and they were arrested, then the rest of the group would know that in this case, the FBI is going to try to pick them off one by one. So again, I don't mean to be the armchair quarterback here, but you have to understand these FBI agents are trained in reconnaissance. They are trained in threat level management. They are trained in all of the things that I just talked about. The militia members had great intentions here. All of them, the 3%ers, the patriots, God bless each and every one of you. But all I'm saying is the strategy and the tactic. Next time you guys go ahead and do this and stand up for another thing, because trust me, with this government and the way that it is just running and trampling over our constitutional rights, there will be more skirmishes. There's no question about it. As a matter of fact, most people on Facebook are so angry, they're saying that this is just the beginning. And you know what? Maybe it is. But hopefully we've learned a lesson from this, that we need to be smarter than the FBI. We need to be more cautious about who we talk to, what we do, and maybe even cut down on the amount of information going out to social media. Now, getting back to what Ammon Bundy did earlier that day, he was having a conversation with a, quote, FBI investigator by the name of Chris. It was about a 10-minute conversation. Now, did he, after that conversation, get rid of that cell phone? Did he then take that cell phone and change the battery in it? Did he turn it off? Did he get a track phone? I don't believe he did. And instead, he more than likely had his phone in the car, which then was able to be traced by the FBI. That's what I'm saying. I'm pointing out some of these things, all right? I'm not against what they did at all, and I don't want people to think that for 1 second. I am totally for what they did. All I'm saying, as an objective member of the media, looking at this from the outside, I think that there were certain things that they did that they can do better next time, and that I think ultimately may have led to what has happened. Now, as far as the charges against them, they're looking at Class C felonies. Oregon does not have a Class D felony. They have what is known as a unspecified felony. It could fall into that. Let's hope it doesn't. A Class C felony has a maximum, according to what I've read, of a 5-year prison sentence and a maximum of $125,000 fine. These folks, unfortunately, are going to have their voting rights removed. They are more than likely going to go through trial. And if I was ranchers out there, I would be raising money for these folks. I would do everything I could to stand up to the Bureau of Land Management, order an investigation, an independent investigation. Hopefully Congress gets involved now that unfortunately there's been some bloodshed. Let's hope there's no more bloodshed moving forward. And again, the victims here are the militia. The perpetrators are the government, the local officials, the Fish and Wildlife Services, and the Bureau of Land Management. If you want to know and you want to see all the documentation and all the proof, go to my YouTube channel and find that video that says the BLM and the Fish and Wildlife Services are the ones that are guilty, and here's the proof. There's a video out there. Go on YouTube, find it. Okay? We'll be right back.
You're tuning into the Josh Bernstein Show, where Josh covers the news the way the liberal media would not dare.
It's 3 a.m. and your children are safe and asleep. But there's a phone in the White House and it's ringing. Something's happening in the world. Your vote will decide who answers that call. Whether it's someone who already knows the world's leaders, knows the military, someone tested and ready to lead in a dangerous world. It's 3 a.m. and your children are safe and asleep. Who do you want answering the phone?
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
I'm Josh Bernstein, and I approve this message.
Every once in a while, someone needs a hand. To hold, to comfort, to lift. All across America, people are joining hands with AMAC to support our nation's greatest values. Every AMAC member makes a difference, and the more who join, the stronger America will be. Stand with those who stand for freedom. Join AMAC. Better for you. Better for America.
Hi, Josh Bernstein here. Let me tell you about a fellow conservative and patriot named Arthur Mills. Arthur Mills spent 21 years serving our country. Now medically retired, he's still serving our country, but he's writing books now on how to protect it. Arthur has written 4 books, including the award-winning The Empty Lot Next Door. Unfortunately, due to his medical injuries sustained serving our nation, he must now use speech recognition software in order to write his books. His latest book, Friend or Foe, is an amazing story. Friend or Foe is a fun and entertaining modern-day animal farm that covers economics, environmentalism, and immigration. This story will help open the eyes of your children to the dangers of big government while frightening older readers with its modern-day relevance to many of today's issues. Friend or Foe is available for only $2.99 in both paperback and ebook versions at Amazon or through Arthur's website at www.branchingplotbooks.com. VA benefits only go so far, folks. Please, order Friend or Foe today.
You're tuning into The Josh Bernstein Show, where liberalism is a mental disorder. And Josh is the cure.
Welcome back to the program. Before we get to Admiral Ace Lyons, I want to do this real quick segment. Lots of folks on Facebook have been disagreeing with yours truly. And again, in a democracy, that's a good thing. But what I will not do is I will not change my position to fit my audience or anything like that. And I believe that that is one of the main reasons why so many people love the show, because they know that they're going to get integrity and honesty coming from what I truly believe. And I won't change my belief system. With that being said, there are many patriots, many great patriots that love the show, watch the show, and support the show that do not agree with me when I said publicly that Donald Trump skipping this debate, this last debate in Iowa, is not going to hurt him. Again, I've given my reasons why. I'll say them real briefly. I believe that his entire campaign has been based on tough talking, being strong-willed, and all of those things. And what this does is allows a chink in the armor, if you will, and it is all about perception. Now, a lot of the diehard patriots out there, who I absolutely love, each and every one of you, they're all saying, don't worry about it, Josh, it's not going to affect him. You know, we're going to stick it to the man, we're going to stick it to the media. Don't worry about it, Megyn Kelly's out to attack him. I agree. Megyn Kelly is definitely out to attack him. Fox News is definitely out to attack him. He is the front runner. He upsets the apple cart for all of the establishment rhino Republicans. I get it, man. I understand that part. But here's the thing. We're diehards. We're people that are entrenched and involved in the process on an everyday battle trying to save this country. There are millions of Americans that are not paying attention. As a matter of fact, 1 in 4 in Iowa alone have said that they could change their mind. What does this do? What this does, in my opinion, is it allows these other candidates to get a leg up over the front runner. Also, he's going to be lambasted and ridiculed for 2 hours without the ability to what? Defend himself. I believe this is the equivalent of the 2012 RNC convention Clint Eastwood empty chair skit, because now we have an empty chair at the debate. I know a lot of people, the naysayers are saying, well, Ronald Reagan skipped the Iowa debate when he was running and still won. I get it. I understand that. It's a different time, though. Ronald Reagan couldn't win an election these days, the way things are. So putting that all together, it really is going to boil down to the fact that I know he's doing a wonderful, noble cause in helping wounded warriors and raising money, and God bless him for doing that. I get that. But he could do that on Friday night. He could show up to debate on Thursday. Now, if he's doing this as a publicity stunt, this is smart. Because then at the last minute, he goes to the debate and he says, you know what, Megyn, I wasn't going to go to the debate, but I didn't want to give you the satisfaction. So here I am. Ask me anything you want. You think you can take me on? Come on, let's go. And I would actually do this on the debate stage. Come on, Megyn, tell me, show me what you got. And all would be forgotten. His numbers would skyrocket once again, and all of this would be forgotten. But I don't think he's either intelligent enough to do that, or I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's, stomping his feet and saying, if it's not my way, then it's the highway. I don't agree with that. Again, I believe this is going to hurt him. It's going to allow Ted Cruz, more than likely, to be a lot more competitive in Iowa, may even win it. We'll see what happens. But you put all this together, the media is going to run story after story about Donald Trump couldn't stand up to Megyn Kelly, so therefore what makes him be able to stand up to Putin? What makes him be able to stand up to Assad? What makes him be able to stand up to China or Iran or any of these other countries out there? That's going to be the narrative, and that's why he needs to go to this debate. And to be honest with you, he's kicked every debate moderator's butt since the beginning of the first debate till now. Why not go back and do it one more time? It doesn't make sense. It's almost like snatching, in my opinion, again, my opinion, it's snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. So again, that's my take on it. You may disagree, and that's fine. Send me hate mail, send me letters, thejoshbernsteinshow@gmail.com. But understand this. I have integrity. I'm an objective member of the media. I'm not in the tank for Donald Trump. I'm not in the tank for Ted Cruz. I haven't endorsed anybody on purpose because I'm a member of the media, and I need to have that type of objectivity. But with all that being said, this is my opinion. Again, I'm a paid political analyst. This is what I do. I don't get paid a lot for it, but this is what I do. And therefore, I got to stick with what my gut tells me. From my experience, this more than likely is going to hurt him. Hey, guess what, guys? I may be wrong, and I'll have to eat crow. And you know what? I'll be the first to admit it because I have integrity and I'm honest. Now, before we get done with this quick segment, Planned Parenthood has not been indicted, and instead, 2 members of the Center for Medical Progress, undercover people, have been indicted. This is a horrible situation. This is very dangerous for future whistleblowers, and it's going to set a dangerous precedent if this is allowed to continue. Real quick, David Deladine and Sandra Merritt have been indicted. They are indicted for 1 felony of tampering with a government record. Apparently they had a fake ID that they used in order to get into these places. You see these left-wing radical organizations, these baby mills, whatever you want to call them, they have a list of people that they put out there that are conservative activists, and they check a database when people come in to do stories. So they had to get a fake ID in order to get around that type of scenario. They also have a misdemeanor here for buying human tissue. Now, here's what I'm saying. First of all, U.S. Code 42 U.S. Code 289G prohibits the sale, distribution, or transfer of human body tissue. It is a felony. If anyone is guilty of a felony, it is Planned Parenthood, not the 2 people that exposed the felonies that were going on. So, the worst case scenario, they could face up to 20 years in prison. I don't believe it's going to go much further than this. I believe this situation is going to get dropped, and dropped pretty quickly. I'll give you another reason why. Lauren Reeder is a prosecutor in the Harris County District Attorney's Criminal Family Law Division. She is a non-paid board member of the Planned Parenthood. She is a 990 tax form for 2014 recipient for Planned Parenthood. There is a conflict of interest here with the DA and this lady working in concert with Planned Parenthood and being part of it. And now these charges come up. That doesn't sit well. So I'm calling for Governor Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick to do an independent investigation, appoint an independent special prosecutor to this case, re-look at this case, re-examine this case, and find the people that are guilty. And the people that are guilty in this case are Planned Parenthood. We'll be right back with Admiral Ace Lyons.
You're tuning into the Josh Bernstein Show, where Josh covers the news the way the liberal media would not dare.
So what does Hillary Clinton think we should do about the Syrian refugees?
I think the United States has to do more, and I would like to see us move from what is a good start with 10,000 to 65,000.
What does Bernie Sanders think we should do about the Syrian refugees?
Do we have a moral responsibility to work with the rest of the world in providing help, bringing some of those people into this country? The answer is absolutely yes.
What does Donald Trump think we should do about the Syrian refugees?
I'm putting the people on notice that are coming here from Syria as part of this mass migration, that if I win, they're going back. They're going back. I'm telling you.
What would Donald Trump do to Iran?
I would bomb the shit out of them.
What would Donald Trump do to Al-Qaeda?
I would bomb the shit out of them.
What would Donald Trump do to ISIS?
I would bomb the shit out of them.
This will be coming to America. ISIS plans to bring these acts of terror to America. It makes no sense whatsoever for us to be bringing in refugees who our intelligence cannot determine if they are terrorists here to kill us or not.
This is not a grievance-based conflict. This is a clash of civilizations.
I'm Josh Bernstein, and I approve this message. Josh Bernstein here. You all know me as the hard-hitting and unapologetic conservative talk show host of the top-ranked Josh Bernstein Show. But did you also know that I have a softer side as well? I am proud and honored to be an official spokesman for a really great group known as the Association of Mature American Citizens, or AMAC for short. AMAC is a group focused squarely on meeting the needs and protecting the interests of America's seniors. We offer a conservative alternative on how to best solve the problems seniors face today. From saving Social Security to gaining more access and control over your health care, to answering your health-related questions and providing you with the products, services, and solutions that you seek. So if you are a senior 50 years of age or older and do not want more government-run and controlled healthcare solutions, there is another option. AMAC is better for America, and AMAC's got your back. AMAC.US. AMAC.US. Hi, Josh Bernstein here. Let me tell you about a fellow conservative and patriot named Arthur Mills. Arthur Mills spent 21 years serving our country. Now medically retired, he's still serving our country, but he's writing books now on how to protect it. Arthur has written 4 books, including the award-winning The Empty Lot Next Door. Unfortunately, due to his medical injuries sustained serving our nation, he must now use speech recognition software in order to write his books. His latest book, Friend or Foe, is an amazing story. Friend or Foe is a fun and entertaining modern-day animal farm that covers economics, environmentalism, and immigration. This story will help open the eyes of your children to the dangers of big government while frightening older readers with its modern-day relevance to many of today's issues. Friend or Foe is available for only $2.99 in both paperback and ebook versions at Amazon or through Arthur's website at www.branchingplotbooks.com. VA benefits only go so far, folks. Please, order Friend or Foe today.
You're tuning into The Josh Bernstein Show, where liberalism is a mental disorder. And Josh is the cure.
You know, we all say we have to identify the threat. Well, I think the one who identified it the best was Erdogan from Turkey when he said, Islam is Islam. There are no modifiers. Democracy is the train we ride to our ultimate objective. He couldn't have said it any plainer. And until you recognize that Islam is a political movement masquerading as a religion, you're never going to come to grips with it. And as far as a strategy, let me just conclude one thing. And as I just had in my latest op-ed, the Obama administration has a strategy. It's very simple. Any thinking American should be able to grasp it. It's anti-American, anti-Western, it's pro-Islamic, it's pro-Iranian, and pro-Muslim Brotherhood. And with that, I'll yield the mic.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome back to the program. My guest today served 36 years in the U.S. Navy as a surface warfare officer, including as Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. Pacific Fleet. He is a highly decorated veteran who retired with the rank of Admiral. He now currently serves as the Chief Executive Officer of Lyon Associates. It is my honor to welcome Admiral James Ace Lyons to the program. Admiral Lyons, it's a pleasure.
Nice to be with you. My pleasure to be with you, Josh.
Good. Before we get started, the first thing I want to do is I want to thank you, sir, for all your wonderful support and for serving our country so admirably for so long. God bless you for that, sir.
My pleasure. Wouldn't have it any other way.
Good, good. So let's talk about the 10 U.S. sailors who were held hostage and thankfully now released. They were held at gunpoint. Some were even humiliated, made to apologize. The Iranians claim that 2 vessels were in Iranian waters near Farsi Island. I have my reasons why they were taken and then subsequently almost immediately released. What are your thoughts on this, and what does this do to show our lack of leadership, I guess you could say, on the geopolitical scale?
Well, you know, this whole incident, as you probably read my op-ed that came out in the Washington Times today, actually makes no sense to me. These 2 command riverine craft were en route, a routine transit from Kuwait to Bahrain with a scheduled refueling en route from a U.S. Coast Guard cutter. And for some unknown reason, they changed course en route to the refueling rendezvous, and apparently one of the riverine boats had an engine problem, but my answer to that is, so what? They've got dual engines. You just keep on going while you're fixing the other one. For some unknown reason, they stopped and apparently drifted into Iran's claimed 12 nautical mile territorial waters. And, you know, that makes no sense to me. Even if they had lost both engines, the normal procedure would be for the other riverine boat, take the one in tow and proceed on your way. And let me hasten to add, I'm well aware that Iran has the capability to interfere with GPS navigational equipment. And the fact that when these 2 Iranian Revolutionary Guard center console small craft approached the boats, I do not understand at this point why the officer in charge permitted them to board his boats. And let me hasten to add, I don't know. I know there are very tight, restricted rules of engagement. In other words, if they're the same as like on land, you can't fire unless you're fired upon first, which I think is stupid anyway. An enemy is an enemy.
Right, exactly.
And the second point, I've got to make the point. Surrender is not in the Navy's DNA. So none of this makes sense to me. They had other navigational equipment, other satellite communication equipment. They lost all communications with their command center. That really really doesn't fly very well. So this whole thing, and the quick release, if you will.
Yes.
Let me make the point before this.
Go ahead.
What Iran did was illegal under international rules of the road. When you're allowed to make an innocent transit through any country's claimed territorial waters, just like as long as you're not doing anything illegally. It goes on throughout the world. There's nothing unusual. And the fact that they drifted into Iran's claimed territorial waters, if anything, a normal country would have offered any assistance if it was required, and those two riverine craft would have proceeded on their way.
Right.
So Iran taking control of those two boats was an illegal action under standard international rules of the road, rule of law of the sea.
Right. Gotcha. Now, I would never put you on the spot and ask for you to see if you agree with me. I have my suspicions. I usually do not do any kind of conspiratorial theories on my television show, but I find it very odd that they released these prisoners as fast as they did. I am glad that they did, and I'm so thankful that all of them are safe and sound. But what I'm saying here, again, and I'm not asking you to agree with me, but I'm wondering if this was a situation that the Obama administration worked with the Iranian regime in order to set this up and make him look stronger so that he can show that his diplomacy is working and therefore to help sell his Iranian nuclear deal. Again, I'm not asking you to agree with me. I'm just putting out a statement that I think more than likely that could have been the occurrence here. We know that Valerie Jarrett is very close with the Iranians and the mullahs in Iran.
Well, as you saw in my op-ed, I imply that by the fact that here, you have the inauguration day of this very flawed nuclear weapon agreement that nobody has signed, and really the Iranians don't agree with our interpretation, which was the 16th of January. And this intercept happened on the 12th, the night of the 12th, and they were released on the 13th. And then coincidental with all of that, on the 15th, we have the release of 5 Americans. And so what captured all the news? The news was captured by the release of the 5 Americans and the release of the 10 Navy sailors. The fact of the inauguration of this flawed nuclear weapons agreement was submerged, was given almost no visibility, in which, and I'm told, as I said in the op-ed, Oman paid $500,000 for each of the 5 Americans released. We then released $1.7 billion to Iran, and that's based on $400 million of under the Shah before he was overthrown, purchase of military equipment which was not delivered. So in our great generosity, we paid interest on that $400 million and turned over $1.7 billion to the Iranians. And I have to add right here, none of the surviving families of the multiple terrorist actions by Iran, and this includes the surviving members, the surviving families of the 9/11 terrorist act, which Iran was found guilty of providing material and training support to the 9/11 hijackers in Judge Daniels' New York District Court in December 2011. And I have to tell you, listeners, without that material and training support, that 9/11 attack could never have been carried out, and 3,000 innocent Americans who were doing nothing more than going to work would be alive today. So here we are embracing this great new rapprochement with Iran, which they continually reject, and it all adds up to it's going to be a tremendous mistake by the United States, not only for us, but for our friends and allies in the area.
You're absolutely correct. And, one of the things that I find just so amazing about this is that we got nothing. We got absolutely nothing. We know that they have been cheating. There's been satellite imaging at the Parchin site that shows them doing activity in nuclear suits and things like that. We know now that the Obama administration has promised that they would actually defend the Iranians over Israel if Israel was to do any kind of counterattack in order to stop their nuclear program. The $150 billion of released money in sanctions relief to the Iranians. If the American people don't understand yet that this president is an enemy combatant of the United States, foreign or domestic, in this case domestic, then I don't know what will. Because this is a dangerous president. This is a dangerous agreement, of course. And how can this agreement be undone, number one? And number two, doesn't it add validity to the 5-member nations now that are now on the Security Council that have override veto capacity?
Well, it's everything you say, Josh, and it's really a tragedy. As I said in that op-ed today, in World War II, the Soviet Union had Harry Hopkins in the White House looking out for their interests. Today, Iran has President Obama, and that should say it all.
It really should. And, what's amazing when you think back to that time when we were in the Cold War with Russia, one of the reasons that we didn't actually have a nuclear face-off with them that actually went to that level is because of mass mutual destruction. We knew in that case that you destroy us, we destroy you. Therefore, that's how that works. Now we have an enemy that wants to die. How do you fight an enemy that wants to die? Their whole purpose is to die to kill the infidel. It's a very dangerous situation.
Apocalyptic mindset that a great catastrophe, a great war is going to come about, and actually is supposed to come about in Syria, and this will bring back the 12th Imam, Mohammed Mahdi, who is supposed to be the son of Muhammad, and they call him the Twelvers. And actually, that's from the Shiite Iranian side. But the Sunni side, the Islamic State, also believes in this great confrontation, and that their view is that Muhammad hasn't been born yet and will come back after this result of this great war. It's you have this internal sectarian conflict going on between the Sunnis and Shiites. But you have to keep in mind, once the target becomes the little Satan, Israel, and the great Satan, United States, they put those sectarian issues aside and concentrate
to kill
on
the
going
infidels.
after the great Satan.
Exactly.
which is what happened on 9/11.
Right. And this is why Western Europe is imploding, as I touched on last week's show. This is why Canada is imploding, as I touched on last week's show. They are allowing these people, these quote-unquote Trojan horse refugees, into their countries. They are taking over their countries. You couple that with the low birth replacement rate that Europe and the European Union has at 1.3%. You need a 1.8 or higher just to maintain your own civilization. I see bad things, unfortunately, unfolding in Western Europe and Canada, and that's why we've got to do everything we can to make sure that we do not let these folks infiltrate our country as well. Before we get going, Admiral Lyons, tell us a little bit about your organization, Lyons Associates.
Well, we're an international consulting group, and we also specialize in port security and other security type of operations. And we're very flexible, but we put the interest of the United States and the security of the United States above everything else. And, you know, it's really distressing to me that in this Iranian nuclear agreement that some of our own corporations penalize some of our security people who objected to the nuclear weapon deal. And one of those certainly was Boeing, who pulled their support from the Center of Security Policy because they were against the nuclear weapon deal, and Boeing was more interested in consummating a contract for 500 commercial airliners to fit their bottom line.
Right.
In other words, transferring very sensitive technology to the Iranians became more important than the security of the United States.
Profit before patriotism.
Interesting.
Yep, that's just terrible. Well, Admiral Lyons, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the program. You are welcome back anytime you would like, sir. God bless you. Keep well, and we'll be in contact soon, okay?
All right, Josh. Nice talking to you and your listeners again.
Okay, you got it. Take care.
Bye.
Okay, folks. Well, that was a pretty hard-hitting interview. That was a pretty hard-hitting show. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back next week with another great guest. Until then, be safe, and God bless.
Thank you for joining the Josh Bernstein Show. Unabashed, unafraid, and unapologetic. Holding America to a higher standard. For more information on the Josh Bernstein Show or to connect with Josh, just go to StarWorldWideNetworks.com.